This is NDTV. And you're watching NDTV Prime. In association with Micromax. Nothing like anything.
The National Capital Region or NCR market was not too long ago one of the most robust property markets across India. Gurgaon was a darling of investors in the market with the highest national returns. Noida and upcoming regions of Noida like Expressway and Noida Extension were touted as one of the best budget home markets of the country. In the last 2 years though, these markets have hit rock bottom. Sales have slowed down to worrying levels. Multiple court cases have simply killed the momentum in many of these markets, including Dwarka Expressway, Noida Extension and Noida Expressway. Gurgaon's flourishing locations are also battling another big problem, civic breakdown with traffic jams, waterlogging and sometimes terrible roads or non-existent sector roads. Can these markets be brought back to life? Welcome everyone to the Realty Debate. My guests for the day today are Rajiv Talwar, CEO, Group ED, DLF, Gitambar Anand, CMD, ATS Infrastructure Limited and President CREDAI, Ashutosh Limai, National Director Research, JLL India, Gaurav Bansal, Advocate, the National Green Tribunal, Dhriv Khanna, Principal, LJ Hooker, Gurgaon, which is of course a large institutional brokerage firm. Okay, I'm going to just essentially take you through some interesting cases which dragged on and affected buyers. Now let's begin with Noida. OKHLA, the National Green Tribunal issue notification which recently okayed by the Ministry of Environment has fixed the eco-sensitive zone in the area of up to 100 meters from eastern, western and southern boundaries and up to 1.27 kilometers from the northern boundary as eco-sensitive zone. Now this move makes close to 50,000 completed units now finally legal and hence deliverable to end users or buyers. The Noida Authority recently also said that occupancy certificates will be provided to all finished projects around the sanctuary within 2 months. So that's a promise that we've got from the Noida Authority. But there's fresh trouble. A petition has been filed on 28th August objecting to the 100 meters of eco zone around Noida's sanctuary. NGT has admitted the plea and issued notices to the Ministry of Environment and Forest and of course also the Noida Authority and other concerned authorities. NGT has also said that the Noida authorities, any action pertaining to 40 realty projects shall be subjected to scrutiny. So what is going to happen now? Builders of 40 different projects will have to pay the authority dues of 3,000 crore rupees as well as labour cess to the state government for getting the certificates. Planning department says that the entire process could take 6 months as a standard procedure. Also, basic amenities including power, water, sewage, etc. are still missing in few of the sectors like Sector 78. Lots happening, so let's just begin with this big issue which actually affected the buyers the worst. Gitambar Anand, what really happened here? I mean, we thought that everything was behind, but now you have a new case where NGT could actually come back and issue a notification for Ministry of Environment that what you've said is not correct.
No, but see, Manisha, this was something which was very unfortunate that affected only Noida. And I have always been saying that in the same vicinity on that side of the river, there's Jamia Nagar, where there's rampant unauthorized construction going on even today, right on the river bank. Nobody seems to be seeing that. Why only Noida? Why only was the completion certificate process, was it banned, and why was it banned only in Noida? Why was no action taken on the Delhi side of the river where, like I just said, there was actually unauthorized construction which is still happening? So over here, I would say that the MOEF and the National Wildlife Board, they have cleared this eco-sensitive zone with those parameters which you just read out. Fortunately for those 50,000 buyers today, where these 50,000 apartments are ready, these apartments can now be delivered. Actually, the number would go touch 100,000. And you know, for actually we are also, if a developer takes land from a government agency, he is also a consumer. Now, the consumer, our consumers are definitely, our buyers are our consumers, but we are also consumers to the government because we are actually paying them money to get that land. And we assume that anything we buy from government would not really have such problems. So whatever happened, whatever delay took place, it was very unfortunate. I think we should just move on from here. And once these limits have been set, because in 2007, the Supreme Court also came up with a judgment that no such boundary must be just, it should not be a knee-jerk reaction. Or the industrialization and urbanization around that particular so-called sanctuary, if at all there is a sanctuary, should be seen, and then a limit should be decided and ascertained.
What I think Ministry of Environment has really done, Rajiv Talwar. But I mean, in this whole process, look at what has happened. I mean, we've talked about the home buyers, but Mall of India, the largest mall of the country, has got stopped. You've not been able to look at, I mean, even find a way out to launch it.
I know, as Gitambo rightly said, this was land bought from the Noida authority. We completed the mall with all the clearances, and then for a better part of 18 months, is just being stuck because of this notification. There's, besides employment, you can imagine whether it is Indian retailers or retailers of other brands, how much money they've lost, how much money we've lost, and how much of an opportunity for employment has been lost and turnover has been lost for the people of Noida and otherwise the Indian economy. So it's very unfortunate that such delays do take place, but then such is the system, and I think we'll have to keep up with it. And as Gitambo said, let's get on with it now, and let's see that in future such things don't happen.
Okay, Gaurav Bansal, I know that you're fighting for the environmentalists, and there is some reason and case to even question the fact, why did the government allow construction, and why just, homes and developers coming under the scrutiny? Why did authorities not have clarity on where you can start development? In retrospect, even from an environment perspective, how are you, this has come at a very heavy cost to a small home buyer as well. Has the lobby considered that?
See, first of all, I would like to say that in your email, which your side given to me, the email written as, the email has a subject that all hindrances cleared. See, environment is not a hindrance. First of all, you have to understand this thing. And whatever the builders or their association claims, they claims very high. Now, one of our guest members says that we have all the clearances. Sir, my dear sir, you have no clearance by the NBWL. This is our case. Even the NGT says this, that the builders who are within the 10 kilometers radius of the OKHLA bird sanctuary has to take, they are duty bound to take the wildlife clearance from the NBWL, that is the National Board for Wildlife. Till date, no one has taken this clearance. And now, one of our guest members says that why Noida? My dear sir, Noida, as well as this Delhi, as well as the Haryana was implemented as a party. Why we took the Noida? Because the OKHLA Bird Sanctuary is situated in the Noida. Further, the developers who are taking, who are developing their projects have not taken. Okay. My dear sir, just please listen. See, when you were talking, when you were saying anything, I never interfered. So just please, for a moment, just please listen me, and then and thereafter, please carry on. Okay. So my humble submission to you is this, that when you talk about the Noida, it is the development around the Noida, in the Noida and around the OKHLA Bird Sanctuary, which will hamper the ecology of the OKHLA Bird Sanctuary, not of the Haryana side or the Delhi side. First of all, now it's now we take the case where one of our members says that we have all the clearances. My dear sir, there are the projects. I have lot of projects. Even some of the RTI applicants daily mail me their information. You know that within 1 kilometer of the areas,
right, okay. Gaurav, we've got your point. My question to you is that it's an occurrence which has already happened, and you've now got almost a lakh of buyers completely stuck. Is there, yes, I'm not even putting human beings versus environment consideration. I'm just saying that what is the resolution to this? What is the resolution to this? Just obstructing buyers or making them pay is not a resolution. They can't get their homes. What in your mind is a resolution to this?
On this aspect, my question to you is this, that when the environment will suffer, the people who are living there will suffer, okay? Then in this case, when the air pollution will be there, when the water pollution will be there, when the noise pollution will be there, so in that case, will you eat money, or will you take the breath from money, or will you take the breath from oxygen?
All right, Gaurav Bansal, I think you're speaking from the heart, and I agree to a lot of your points. But let me just come to this fact. I mean, there is pollution everywhere, and we need to take care of the environment in a much larger way. My question is that right now, those investors or buyers have already put in their money, and they're not being able to allow to even get possessions of their homes. Okay, let's just look at what has really happened with this entire drama. The momentum has been completely lost. Now, 2011, if I look at the Noida Expressway, the average prices were around 4,000 rupees per square feet. They've gone up to about almost 5,600 rupees per square feet in May this year. Inventory overhang in these months, at least this is the prop equity data, which says from 2011 when it was 10 months has now come to 53 months. So there are not only buyers who are unable to move into their houses, there is also a big question of people just becoming so frustrated they don't want to buy anymore. Ashutosh Limai, step in here. I mean, this is a larger question. I don't think we can resolve here on who's right or who's wrong, but I'm just going to say my show is dedicated for the home buyer, what is right and what is wrong for him. In this case, I feel my heart goes out to the buyers who are stuck and cannot move into their houses for which they've paid up 90%. The courts can keep deciding between the developers and the environmentalists, but the buyer is the one caught in between.
That's right, Manisha. And I think now the problem is much bigger. I do respect sentiments from both sides, and my 2 cents here, it's something like this, that whatever protective measures or planning was to be done should have been done in advance. There should be enough clarity for the developers while they purchase land from particularly government authorities of what they can do, what they cannot do. After having that clarity, if they default or if they don't abide by rules and regulations, well, they are at fault. But retrospective decisions are always avoidable. Now, the buyers who have bought here, most of them must have put their lives' earnings, they have borrowed money, etc. What do we do with them? Most of those units in this particular neighborhood are sold units. So they are waiting to move into their houses. Now, there is a direct impact to these buyers, and then there is an indirect impact in terms of sentiment. So both are equally important for any industry to do well, real estate industry inclusive. So I think we now should look at finding an amicable solution.
But okay, we are going with the presumption. I will come to you, Dhruv, but right now, Gitambar, we are going with the presumption that the latest ruling by the Ministry of Environment stands. Are you hearing anything else? Are you or Noida Authority sticking to its plans of actually giving occupancy certificates in 2 months?
Absolutely, they're sticking to their plans because it is a Supreme Court directive to the MOEF, and the Supreme Court has said in its judgment that whatever the MOEF decides, whatever boundary the MOEF decides, that is sacrosanct.
Yes, that's sacrosanct.
Yeah. So the Noida Authority is continuing with their process of issuing completion certificates and occupancy certificates because, like Ashutosh just said, you know, people want to move into those ready homes.
Absolutely.
And it's only logical that they're allowed to do that.
Okay. Dhruv, you've been at the ground interacting with buyers. Probably many of these buyers who are stuck bought through you. Do you think that the resolution of something so big will actually, and once these buyers start moving in, will lift the mood for Noida and Noida Expressway?
Absolutely, Manisha. Actually, the issue with the market at the moment, you know, there's so much of negative news coming in from pretty much all sources, is an issue of sentiment. It is not that there is any lack of money. It is not that, you know, people don't want to buy. It is not that developers are not developing or, you know, giving possession. It is not that companies are not expanding and hiring. But the issue is of one of sentiment, and with so much of multiplicity of organizations, of ministries, of there's no conclusion that comes out of any judgment or any sort of conversation at all.
Actually, Manisha, I want to make a very important point here, and this is to put the buyers' fears at rest.
Yeah.
See, the file in the MOEF ministry has been cleared by the National Wildlife Board, as Gaurav had pointed out, National Wildlife Board has said that these are the distances that are to be maintained. Now, should the developer community have to go back again to the National Wildlife Board to get another certificate when they've already said whichever development is not coming in this distance can go ahead, is just fine. We are trying to get a single window clearance system wherein boundaries are defined, heights are defined in air corridors, so that all this is available at the click of a button online. So just saying that the National Wildlife Board has not given certificate to these people, I think it is not fair. When the National Wildlife Board themselves have cleared these distances, it means that they are sacrosanct, and anybody who, Noida authority is going back by that premise.
Right. There will always be arguments and counter arguments to that. I think let's just stick to whether now with this NGT issue behind us, Rajiv, do you think, I mean, the data I just read out from Prop Equity in terms of inventory overhang, we can debate it, but the fact is that the market has slowed down. Whether it's 50 months or 25 months for a buyer, that is irrelevant. Wo number hai. He wants to know what is going to happen. Will there be some life? Because, in India, we are all used to buying a house, and, a stock can come down by 20%. But if your house prices come down by even 5%, it's a big psychological shock.
Of course, it is the biggest investment. So therefore, you don't expect it to go down. It's almost gold in the hands, psychologically and financially, in the hands of a buyer. It's the biggest investment of a lifetime, and he expects a certain security along with it. So I think this is the best time that once this problem is over, let people move in, let people get settled over there. That's how not only progress, but that's how the growth of the economy and the nation and its promise to give a roof to over everyone's head will get fulfilled.
All right. We are also hoping that this would be a big trigger. Once people actually move into their houses, that should lift the sentiment of the market. Will it really take it upwards in terms of pricing? I'm not so sure. But definitely buyers who are now fed up of not getting a roof over their head, whether it's a developer delay or the NGT delay or regulation delays, seriously, are just so fed up, they don't want to buy a home anymore. I'd rather stay in a rented house, is the kind of sentiment which is floating around. Look at what happened to Greater Noida West now, as it is called, because Noida Extension, its original name, has actually become a bad word to use for that area. So literally it had to be rebranded as Greater Noida West. Now 2011, Allahabad High Court decided to award higher compensation and plots to farmers. 2015, what happened? The Supreme Court upheld land acquisition done in Noida and Greater Noida by the respective local authorities between 2006 and 9 and ordered that both the Noida Authority and farmers have to accept with the compensation formula ordered by the High Court earlier. But so much time was lost in the interim period. Compensation was raised by 64.7%, so that was a big jump. 1400 rupees per square yards was decided, and it was also decided to give 10% of the developed land to farmers. Now close to 3 lakh planned residential units in 200 projects in NCR's Noida Extension finally have become litigation free or have a litigation free title. Imagine the early buyers, they've been simply stuck for 5 years. A close to 62,000 unsold units in the region have now found a new lease of life. Collectively, oversupply situation is probably going to keep price appreciation in check. Dhruv, come in here. What do you think? I mean, Noida Extension, you're seeing that market. You have, in fact, sometimes I go and look at that market, the infrastructure, the quality of roads, social infrastructure of that area, schools, hospitals, and I just wonder what a 5-year litigation can do to a particular market.
Absolutely. I mean, these litigations, one, they shouldn't have been these kind of debates happening after all the licenses were issued, or after all the paperwork is already there. Any outsider looking at such things, and there have been a lot of private equity funds trying to enter the Indian market, this is a huge red flag for all those players. And obviously, it is a huge issue with the buyers or potential users that are entering the market. Yes, the prices have remained stable over the last 2-3 years, in that market, and they will continue. Are you seeing
some more traction, or you think, are the buyers coming back? I mean, I think that's the big question. Or there's so much supply that right now prices will remain under control, but new buyers are difficult to come by.
Well, I think, buyers are there. I don't think we've ever had or will ever in the next 20 years as well will ever have a demand issue. The issue will always be either pertaining to sentiment, which is the case at the moment, and just lack of, agencies not getting together, or whichever players not getting, coming on the same platform.
All right. Let's take a quick short break. We will come back and look at some of the challenges which are currently still existent in the Noida Extension or the Greater Noida West market. We will also look at another interesting market, which actually was one of the most talked about markets when we started the property show. Dwarka Expressway, a small little village, held the completion of the expressway, which was supposed to be the lifeline and the very reason for this real estate market to have developed. What is going to happen in that market now that you've got some clearances? And of course, the final question, are these things good enough to revive the NCR market? Stay with us.